All right, first and foremost, give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and His Son, the Hamashiach, some called Yahushua, Yeshua, Yehoshua. We mostly know as Jesus Christ. Another video for y'all. We're gonna get into the origins. I might do like a little series on the origins, just to be part one of Israelites in the United States, or Hebrew Israelism in the United States. We're gonna dig into some of the origin and where some of these things come from. A lot of y'all, I know we don't like the camps. I know there's a hatred for camps. But y'all gotta respect the camps, because for one, that's how a lot of us woke up. For two, that's what the movement started. That's how it started. It's one of the foundations. For three, we need the camps. I think everybody needs to be in some kind of organization, in some kind of camp. Because even if there's a problem with brotherhood inside of the body, but we can't run from those problems. We're gonna have to heal some of that from the inside. We're gonna have to heal some of that by being that example. A great example, a good report that I gleaned from about a certain organization. We go one body Israelites. We merged. Prince of Power merged with another group that came from Cornerstone, and we merged together. But they before we merged, we always did unity camps and such and things like that. But one time they told me they went out there to one body, and it was kind of hey man, y'all need to, maybe we can merge together, maybe they can become like a one body Atlanta, to kind of, instead of all of the schisms, to try to bring things, hash things out, see if we can sit down with things and bring things together. And those conversations I had behind closed doors. A lot of you don't, if you're not in the mix, you don't know these things. You think it's just all divided, but there have talks of coming together, and sometimes our flesh get in the way of that. The talk was there for me too, with one body, and I wasn't feeling it. Sometimes we do have to sit down and examine things and see, would it be beneficial, or do it need to come together? We run the same banner, but we're not going to get to that point if we're running from it. You know what I'm saying? We won't get to the point of unity if we're saying we're not going to deal with each other. So if you find somebody that's doctrinally close, and you can gather with brothers just for the brotherhood, just for the order. It's a lot of brothers, I kind of done made up my mind too that I'm not getting on no panel where brothers is not or never have been in the organization, because there's a lack of discipline, there's a lack of order, and then the order can never, you can never calm it down. Everybody just all over the place. It's like little Peter Pan children that, people done, spiritual children that done raised themselves, and they wild. They out here running wild. And somebody got to gather these kids up, man, and calm them down and domesticate them a little bit. But we can't run away from that. We have to deal. Yes, there are issues within these organizations. There's issues within all organizations. But we got to sit down on these things and try to hash some of that. And one of the issues that is doctrine. Trying to hash out some of these doctrinal issues and get us to a certain point with that, and and then we can, we can come together on some things and stop barking at some things and calm down the hatred. Some of the hatred that we're teaching, and I hate to be rambling like this, y'all, but some of the hatred that we be spewing out, we have no outlet for. We can't go to work and display these things, so we display it on each other. We release it on each other. We release it on our close loved ones. And I think that hate kind of spews from a lot of the doctrine. And, that's all we're meditating on. Within the text, all we're meditating on is vengeance. And really, the vengeance belongs to him. Really, it's his. It's not ours. But, but not to ramble on, y'all. We gonna deal with some of the origins. We going back to the beginning. Now, I'm not doing this video. I'm gonna give my take on, this Revelations 11. Not to say that the brother's wrong. What I grabbed from this video, and some of these prophecies we just don't know for sure. So I can't say that he's wrong. I can just say I have a different take, and maybe I have to start doing that. But some things, I can see something. I can say it's wrong, but a lot of the stuff a lot of the eschatological topics, I just have a different look. You know what I'm saying? It ain't that I can't say the brother's wrong because that I'm not certain that I'm right. You know what I'm saying? I'm just giving my take on it. But Chief Priest is he's a very intelligent brother. I know that he's not a parrot. He's not just finna say what he's been to. He's thought some things out. Now, I may not agree with him, but he's thought these things out. He's thought a lot of things out. And he's dealt with a lot of different information. And he comes up with his own conclusions. He's not just somebody that's just been taught some things and just, I'm finna teach that. But majority of this movement is. And you'll say, no, they're not. No, they're not. But I'm telling you, if you get this book, and we almost through it, man. We almost through, You get that book. Once we start going through this book, you're going to see that we've been just parroting, I've been parroting for 8+ years, and then I started learning, and that's what I'm trying to do with the channel now. I'm trying to get us to. We trying to, like my brother Nabala, man. Y'all go to Street Baptism on YouTube. I'm gonna post some of his stuff up, but trying to teach us how to learn, so that we're not just watching videos and writing down information and accepting it. That we're writing the information down, and then we're checking through it, and we're making sure that we in agreement with that. We're not just writing it down and memorizing it and then saying it out here. So we gonna have to teach. We trying to teach you how to learn. We trying to teach you, what's a lexicon, what's a Strong's, what's a concordance, how to use some of these tools, the logos and the blue letter, and and some of these dictionaries that it ain't just a Zondervan dictionary. Like, we grab that dictionary for a specific definition, for specific reasons that we can use, and that can be a form of manipulation. It's the only dictionary we using, so we got to be careful. We got to be careful with that. And again, we just want to give you the resources and tools to go out here and learn for yourselves, that you're not just parroting information that I'm telling you, or information that anybody else is telling you, that you've researched this thing, because we all got to work out our own salvation, and with fear and trembling. And if you fear and trembling, you're not just taking Joker's word, because you know the consequences. You going back, you being a Berean, you going back and you saying, I'm gonna go study and make sure what this joker said is true. And if they went back to study what Paul said, like, why are you taking my word? why are you taking any of these jokers' word? But let me let this thing play and let him break this thing down again. We're talking about the origins of One West Israelism, the origins of the Israelites in the United States. Black Israelites in the United States, because this was the origin. Initially, it was Negro only Israelites. It was a Negro only movement. All right. But why I'm playing this, because he's going to give some origins that he's going to link to prophecy.
This is all going to cohesively flow together, right? Let's Revelation 11 and 9.
Revelation 11 and 9. And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves.
This is an important aspect. It says they're going to see us for 3.5 days, and they're not going to suffer us to be put in graves. That 3.5 days is the 350 years that go from 1619 to 1969, to when this truth began to be published again. From when the bulk of the slaves was coming over, and a certain height in the onset of the slave trade. Between that point and the point of this truth being reestablished at 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York, starting with Elder Bivens and getting passed all the way down to the brothers you see on the streets today, right? That's that 3.5 days, or 350 prophetic years. But it says in between that time, they did not suffer our body. We were dead, but they did not suffer our bodies to be put in graves. Let's understand what that means. This is the definition of laid to rest. Read that.
It says to bury someone who has died. Usually used as be laid to rest. Example, she was laid to rest in the church's graveyard.
You see that? So to be put in a grave is to be laid to rest. So they saw our dead bodies, but we still were not laid to rest. We still didn't get rest. That's what it's referring to there, right? Further clarification, Micah 2 and 10.
All right. So again, we was clipping that to show how he you know, and this is the thing, we all have presuppositions, and let me switch here. We all have presuppositions, all right, pre-notions that we're bringing into the text. We all have the presupposition that we're in the last days right now. This thing could happen any year. This is why we have the 1619 to 2019, the 400-year prophecy. We still trying to hold on to that. A lot of people still trying to hold on to that. Hey, I'm not here to come at you about that. I don't agree with it, but I ain't here to come at you about that. Don't get the comments getting mad at me. But we have that prophecy. You have other prophecies, and we see him using a prophecy, connecting it to 1619, us being brought here on the slave ships, and Abba Bivens, who's the writer of this book. All right, we gonna get all these jokers' books. Not joke. All these brothers' books. We gonna get all their books that we can get to try to get some of this origin, some of the thought process, some of the thinking, and see where these things come from. Because again, a lot of people say, "Man, I'm not no camper, man. I don't have no camp." Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You got that from us, man. And you know, it's not a big deal, brother. I know you don't like, you know, and I don't like it now either. That, you know, jokers out there, you know, speaking a certain way and then denying, you know, that salvation is for other nations. But you know, the organizing, the brotherhood, like YouTube is not real. You know what you seeing on there, and you seeing brothers' speech on there, that's really not brothers. That's them giving, just like I do certain videos just to give you sugar, just to give you what you want, just to give you the views, because y'all don't, you know, the public don't want to see no edification. They don't want to see people giving their lives to Christ. And that's on us too. So there is something that we can do. We saying we don't like it, but if we don't like it, we have to stop watching it. You know, and if we stop watching, if it stops getting the attention, then they will stop doing it. They will stop showing it because that ain't what the people want. But a lot of that bit gets showed. Trust me, man. You know, jokers is out there 8 hours, 10 hours, 6, 7, 8 hours. You know, and they may only get 2 30-minute clips. You know, to show you, you know, where it got a little dramatic. But yeah, he linked Abba Bibbins to this, and why he's saying it because Abba Bibbins was you know, some people are even calling him Elijah. All right, he's going down Revelations 11 talking about these 2 witnesses. And I don't know, you know, I just came in on that video. I didn't watch the whole video. I just came in on that video, so I definitely can't speak on how, you know, if I agree or disagree with what he got going on. But I came in on that part. Sometimes that's how this stuff be coming to me. I end up just clicking on it. I be right where I need to click it at, and you know, we have a video. But I want to go through Revelations 11. I'm just telling you my thought process. I don't hyper spiritualize these things. I do feel like it's some hyperbole there, some exaggerated speech there. Maybe, you know, maybe you can spiritualize some of it. You have to, some of it, you know what I'm saying? But for me, it's just, you know, it's almost plain. It ain't, because, you know, this is Revelations is a spiritual book. It's prophecy, so forth. But for me, I think brothers be going a little overboard. And it's again, they doing that because of the pre-notion that these things have to happen today. We'll read this 1 through 10. Y'all bear with me. And there was given to me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood saying, Rise and measure the temple of God and the altar and them that worship therein. But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles. And the holy city shall they tread under their foot 42 months. All right. 42 months. And I had a brother, again, pre-notion that this is the end. We at that very moment. You know, he good brother hit me. He want to go over Zechariah 4. Zechariah 4 is dealing with the same thing with the candlesticks and the 2 olive trees and the 2 branches and the oil pouring and so forth, and the 7 eyes. What those 2 witnesses are doing, those 2 anointed ones. Zechariah 4 linking up to this Revelations 11. And because we're not in the land, because we're not there to build the temple, he feels that we have to be there to do this. And this is what it's saying. It's saying, hey, man, measure the temple. Angel stood to measure the temple. So there's a temple up, and it said, hey, man, measure without is for the Gentiles. And the holy city shall they tread under their foot. The Gentiles that had the holy city treaded under their foot for 42 and 2 months. Verse 3 says, I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. All right. So they're going to be clothed in sackcloth, which is a sign of mourning. All right. A sign of mourning. They're going to be prophesying and testifying. And I feel like they're going to be doing that in front of this temple. All right. They're going to be doing it in front of this temple. And because we haven't been brought there. So then he's thinking like, man, we still got to be brought there, and we still got to do this, and we still got to do that. Maybe he going to use the imposters. Maybe he's going to use the ones that's pretending to be us and use them to build a temple, and you know. And so I'm just showing you the methodology in his thinking, being that he has the presupposition that these are the days and this is happening right now, and this is the Great Awakening. This is the Ezekiel 37, and we coming into these things right at this moment. Whoa, you know, even with you know, and that's another problem with putting so much on One West when they had the prophecy in the year 2000 that the world would end, you know, that America would get hit with thermonuclear warfare. And it was all based on the moment and the fact that, you know, the year 2000 is gonna be 0-0. I don't know. It's like we gonna have to get into that history. How did that come about? I want to know these things, and this is what this series is gonna be about. Y'all willing, we can dive into these things, get some of this information. May even get the brother Abu, very knowledgeable on the thing, on the situation. Maybe even get that brother on and have some dialogue with him. And I will give power unto the two witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,203 days, clothed in sackcloth. These are the two olive trees, the two candlesticks. This is in Zechariah 4, standing before the God of the earth. And if any man will hurt them, when we saying that these two olive trees, these two candlesticks, these two anointed ones are the same two that was with him during the transfiguration, Elijah and Moses. This is my understanding. You don't have to agree with it. You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't saying I'm absolute. I'm not absolute on a lot of these things in Revelation. And if any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth out of their mouth. And, you know, brothers say, wait, do you think it's literally fire? Maybe it's not literal fire. Like, again, this could be hyperbole. This could be exaggerated speech. But it can be something where they speak and you give up that ghost and devour their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. These have powers to shut up heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over waters to turn them to blood and smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will. And Elijah and Moses, you know, through the power of the Father of the Most High, that, you know, they had the power to do these things, to issue out the plagues, to turn the water into blood, to, you know, to close up the heavens. You know, Elijah did that with Ahab. Verse 7, and when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them and shall overcome them and kill them. Now, the beast, does it have to be a literal beast? I'm not going to say it's going to be a literal monster beast. Most of us feel like this is some nation that's rising out of the bottomless pit. But if it's a beast, well, you know, if a beast comes up, man, you know, then I'm going to mark that down. But I've never seen a beast. So I've never seen nothing like that coming from no bottomless. So I would have to just deal with that being a nation. I have to spiritualize this as just being a nation, as some of the other prophecies, you know, when dealing with beasts and animals are or have been nations. So a nation will come out of the bottomless pit and shall make war against them and shall overcome them and kill them. Make war against them, overcome them, kill them. Who is the them? And this way you need to stay on track. Don't lose the context of what's being talked about. It's two olive trees, two candlesticks. For me, the two witnesses. All right. They're going to make war against these two witnesses. They're over there prophesying against this temple. Verse. Y'all know I'd be losing my place. It says, in their dead bodies shall lie in the streets. Whose dead bodies? The two witnesses. For me, it's the two witnesses of the great city. What is the great city? All right, what is the great city? It says spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. What is the great city called Sodom and Egypt? Now, some will say spiritualize and say, well, that's America. But we got to keep reading. It says, where also the Lord was crucified. Well, the Lord wasn't crucified in America. So I'm going to have to say that that's Israel. And this is why the brother called me and was like, well, where, you know, man, we got to be in the land for these things to these things to be happening. And really, you know, we don't. If it's the two witnesses, that's what the two witnesses doing. And we over here watching that, you know, the way technology is, they have some little, it's almost like it's made up like some portal or something. You can go out there. I want to say it's in New York, and you can walk up to it and see people, what exactly people doing in France or Paris somewhere. I don't know. It's something like that. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Put it in the comments. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Please. All right, and the people, and they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half. In those 3 days and a half, whose dead bodies? I'm still with them being the witnesses, the 2 witnesses, and have not suffered their dead bodies to be put in graves. I'm still thinking that's the 2 witnesses that are just laying out there 3.5 days. I'm not even going to spiritualize the 3.5 days. You know, Christ and Jonah, the 3 days to 3 nights. I'm not going to spiritualize that and make it 300 days or 300 years. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say 3.5 days. Said 1,200 days, 1,260 some days here. And this 3.5 years here and 3.5 days here, I don't know, like, you know, why would the same writer write it for and make the 3.5 spiritualize the 3.5 days? If we spiritualize the 3.5 days there, I would say we have to spiritualize the 1,200 3 days here, the 1,260 days here. But that's my understanding. That's my understanding on it. And they will dwell upon the earth, and they that dwell upon the earth will rejoice and make merry, and shall sing gifts one to another, because these 2 prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth. These 2 prophets, and them 2 prophets, I think, are the 2 witnesses, and they were tormenting the people on the earth. After the 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from God entering into them, they stood on their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. All right, so that's enough of that. That's enough of that. That for me, that's the 2 witnesses. Matter of fact, no, it's not enough. No, it's not enough. In the same hour, it says the enemies that beheld them. In the same hour, there was a great quake, a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell, and the earthquake was slain men 7,000, and the remnant were affrighted, and gave glory to the God of heaven. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. And for me, that's the second woe. A lot of people say the second woe was World War II. The first woe was World War I, and we gonna talk about that and where that came from. We gonna get into those origins of a lot of these doctrines. But for me, what we just read has to happen in order for the second woe to have passed, and us to be coming up on the third woe, which we have to continue reading what the third woe is. But anyway, we're not here for that. All right, we're going to deal with this origins here. And this is, hold on, let me show you who this brother is. This is Uzziel, Leeway. All right, and y'all go, you know, if you want some of this history, he has a lot of this Israelism history there. Beth Shalom, located in Brooklyn, New York. They had a congressional congregation June 3rd, 2007. That congregation, Beth Shalom, located in Brooklyn, New York City. Rabbi Hallel Parrish speaks on the relationship between Rabbi Arnold Josiah Ford and Marcus Garvey and his involvement in the UNIA. So I'm gonna let this play a little bit. But before we get to the brother Abba Bibbins that Chief Priest mentioned in that prophecy, before him there was the Rabbi Matthews and these called the commandment keepers, who were pretty much just into Judaism and wanted to be accepted as black Jews in Judaism.
I have the ordination when Rabbi Matthews passed on, and we went to the synagogue, and somebody said, "But where's the ordination that Rabbi Matthews got from Haile Selassie?" So I said, "When did Haile Selassie give ordination?" You know, when did that happen? But what they were really looking at is Rabbi Ford's ordination to Rabbi Matthews. And so when somebody asks you what gave Rabbi Matthews the spirit to do what he did and to talk as he did, is because he had the encouragement from Rabbi Ford, who went to Ethiopia and got the Kasim, was the word for priest, to write a documentation, an ordination that would give Rabbi Matthews credit in the American black world. Now, to show you another negative, I have to bring this in because this is all part of the history. When Rabbi Matthews was asked to come down to Federation of Jewish Philanthropies, and there was this whole question again of recognizing black Jews, and he came down, Rabbi Woods, when many of you know Rabbi Woods.
See, this recognizing black Jews, it was about us being recognized by the other little hats. You see, he have on a little hat.
You want to remember him. He was a strong candidate of Ethiopianism, very strong on it. And Rabbi Woods took out of his wallet the ordination. And he showed the ordination to Rabbi Trainin. He said, Rabbi Trainin, here's the ordination. What do you make of it? Rabbi Trainin took the ordination, turned it around, and gave it to the judge. And said, Judge, what do you think of it? And then the judge gave it back to him, and he gave it back to Rabbi Woods, and they never said anything. They never said good or bad, right or wrong. There was no way of them to explain. There was nothing for them to do. So the meeting really went into nothing. It was a process to get the black Jews to be part of the Jewish world, and that process never happened.
To get the black Jews to be part of the Jewish world, but that never happened.
And so Rabbi Matthews did his best, was on TV, on radio, and all the way up to when he got very old, he was still on radio, and people still remember him. It's amazing how the remembrance of Rabbi Matthews is within the black community, because Commandment Keepers has relit the world, recently, and that's because of the 70 years. 70 years he spent teaching black history and the tradition and the connection of black people to Africa and to the ancient culture of Judaism. And that
salute.
Now as the sister did mention the rabbis in the community, Rabbi Shlomo graciously wanted to help me to make it clear the people who fostered the faith, who committed themselves to congregations like Rabbi Poinsett and Rabbi Tate and Rabbi Moses and Rabbi Thomas and those who were the commandment keepers all through the years. We want to remember them. And so we have a slide projection that will give a very good summary of them and how they looked and what they participated in throughout the years. Yeah. Okay. Here's a classic picture of Rabbi Matthews in the days when he was young and he was reading the Torah. Many of you know his tradition in reading the Torah was always to read Exodus 23, right?
Rabbinical College, 1925, 1919, lived 1892 to 1873, 70 years, teaching. You gotta give him his flowers. Gotta give him his flowers. Very monumental to this movement of blacks understanding that they are the Israelites in the USA, in the United States of America. We gotta give him his flowers. Now, Abba Bivens came to this organization, trying to, from what I've heard, he didn't really like the way they was talking about Christ. Some, as far as what I've heard from other One West elders, modern elders that, probably didn't even meet him, but we gonna get into some of the literature and see exactly what happened. But This book that I have was in the 40s, so he wasn't there with those commandment keepers. It don't seem he couldn't been there too long.
It was, 19. Exodus 19, the 10 Commandments. That always had the 10 Commandments. And so that's where he lived, and he found.
And you see that Harlem is vital. Harlem is vital to this thing. And this is what it funneled out of. This is the city it funneled out of.
The congregation and the Rabbinical College in 1925, and many community leaders. One of his co-workers, Rabbi Arnold Ford, he was the director of the Universal Negro Improvement Association. He wrote the anthem for the UNIA, and he founded Beth B'nai Abraham 1923.
And this is also connected to the Marcus Garvey movement. There was a lot of black nationalism going on at this moment in time. Marcus Garvey was trying to get a ship and take all the people back to Liberia, to funnel people back into Liberia. They end up getting some dirt on him or throwing some dirt on him. You know how it go. And trying to shut that movement down, which, it has, they still have parades and all of this stuff, but they kind of shut it down. But this is another dude, Rabbi Arnold J. Ford. He's also a founder of the Commandment Keepers. He wrote the anthem for Marcus Garvey's movement. Founded Beth B'nai Abraham, 1923. And then he immigrated to Ethiopia in 1930. Like, a lot of this was connected to Ethiopian Jews or Orthodox Ethiopia Israelites initially when this thing was first jumping off.
And then he immigrated to Ethiopia in
and he got hands laid on him by Rabbi Matthews.
1930. And he gave his congregation over to Rabbi Matthews. Now, at the time, I should mention that there was 8.
I apologize. I misread that. He ordained Rabbi Matthew.
B'nai Abraham, 1923. And then he immigrated to Ethiopia in 1930. And he gave his congregation over to Rabbi Matthews. Now, at the time, I should mention that there was 8. There were 8 black Jewish congregations. You wouldn't hear that from anybody else. Yeah, there were 8. And Rabbi Ford and Rabbi Matthews, and there was Rabbi Horton, Mordecai Horton, and there was Herman, Mordecai Herman, and there was one other person that we know of, but there were 4 others. So the black community knew of themselves much more than we expect, or we thought. We who grew up thought it was only those few, but it was a lot more than that. We have to remember the Belleville, Virginia. The Bethel group of Belleville, Virginia are in the thousands all over the country. We have to remember the congregation in Philadelphia. There's the Bethel in Philadelphia. There's Prophet Cherry that was one of the great speakers in the time of Rabbi Matthews.
You also have FS Cherry. We got to talk about him also. Definitely another pioneer.
In Philadelphia, and there was Rabbi Respes who came out of that, and Rabbi Respes was a teacher of Rabbi Bowen. You see, it all comes down. So we had a lot of people in the old days. It wasn't just a few handful that you think it is. It was a lot more than a handful. Not to mention Chicago, where the rabbi spoke of Rabbi Reuben and Green. Those are the rabbis that were the forerunners in Chicago and at this time.
William Crowdy also.
His Marcus Garvey organized the UNIA and opened a branch in Harlem. And he had the Black Star Cross nurses as well, and officially proclaimed the blackness of Jesus. That was a lot of influence from Rabbi Matthews and Rabbi Ford. And I should tell you a little bit of the problem that they had with Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey knew and believed that Israel was African, just straight, without any modifications, that it was African. But when Garvey and Ford presented Marcus Garvey with the proposition, turn the UNIA into a Jewish organization, so he said, no, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to touch that part of it. What I'll do is make Jesus black. That's the first step. That's the first step. And the second step is to create a black church. And there was a Bishop McGuire that existed at that time, and I think his church is still existing now. It is a black church that has no connection to the AME or
I think I seen one of them little hats in the front row.
or to mainline Protestantism or Catholicism. It was an independent black church that worshiped Jesus, the black Jesus. So there was.
And that's, I actually just read something like that here that I had. This is page 53 of Marks of the Lost Race by Abba Bibbins. He said, we must also understand that when Joshua, who's Jesus, was here on the earth 2,000 years ago, three outstanding features of that time were Roman power, Grecian culture, and Judaism religion. Many white people were in Jerusalem, just like they are spread all over the world today. They followed the Judaism religion, just like it is written in the book of Esther. Then someone might ask, why doesn't the real Jew, which is the so-called Negro, practice the religion of their forefathers? And why does this so-called Jew have almost the same ways and customs as the real Jew? The answer to the first question is found in Romans 11:25, for I would not, brethren, that you should be ignorant of this mystery, lest you should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part has happened unto happened to Israel unto the fulfillment of the Gentiles. Getting to the answer of this question of why the so-called Jew has our customs, etc., we have to give you scripture by asking you to read 2 Kings 17:24. I guess 2 Kings 2:28-41, and the king of Assyria brought men, so forth. I done brought that out several times. But to see the way he's breaking it down, the Abba Bibbins is breaking it down, who, some people are calling this brother Elijah. And that the Most High is using him. And when we're saying that the Most High, if we go on another, say this thing goes on another 300-400 years. A lot of people will say Darby was Stephen Darby, was Elijah, on his teachings, because he woke a lot of people up to this. Some people may think Pastor Dow is an Elijah or Moses 300-400 years. If straightway still standing and them bought all kind of communities and and they still here, still keeping the commandments and teaching who the Israelites are and living a set apart life. Some people may say Pastor Dow. Those in that organization say, well, Pastor Dow was like an Elijah. And it's like, man, you can put that on these individuals, but man, is that dangerous? And this is why we have to know the origins of these things, because sometimes we can put that on that people, and it's not their fault, it's our fault. That's why he had to take Moses' body, because we would have worshipped it. That's all we want to do, is worship somebody. All we want to do is lift somebody up. But we have to look at the origin of these things and realize, hey man, these, they were just trying to figure it out like we trying to figure it out. We don't have to lift these folks. Oh man, this is David reincarnated, or this is because of this, and because we at the time now, 400 years from when he did it, it can be problematic for some.
There's no trouble. Nowadays, you're seeing a lot of black Jesus all around. You know what I mean? You got a lot of, you don't have.
He said Marcus Garvey was bringing out that black Jesus. And that could have been the case where we see the good times and, you know, they was bringing these things out. He set up another church. Like how, and then, you know, that Marcus Garvey movement was powerful. It came to naught, but it was powerful. The brother was finna the brother got a ship. He was finna get jokers put back on the ship and get jokers back to Africa. Those who wanted to go.
Have too much trouble these days, you know, because you had the brother that made, what was it, the black Jesus in what was that thing that he did? In the Madonna, right? Yeah. So anyway, so we've gone a long ways from the early days of Marcus Garvey. So this is the synagogue that Rabbi Ford.
And was anybody saying that Jesus was black before this period? We have to look into that also.
This was basically Yiddish. It was a Yiddish. The choir, 1920s choir, had my adopted mother, Eudora Paris, and the two Bastian sisters. Most of you know the two sisters, Augustine and Ada Bastian. That's them. So they were there, and that picture is so.
And it was almost looked like they were dressed like nuns. And the men wear those scarves today. I make those scarves. The men wear those scarves today instead of those little beanies that instead of the little, what they call them things, man. Slipping my tongue. Yarmulkes.
Valuable that the Schoenberg had that picture downstairs in the photographic room. Those of you who did research saw this outside. That was there. They liked that one for some reason, and it was there for many, many, many years. So this is the classic picture of the choir that Rabbi Ford had, and the contribution that he made to the UNIA.
And they had a choir. We got to get back to that. We gotta get back to that, man. I ain't with that rap music, man. Some of us are, most of it's trash to me. That's just my opinion. I don't get the feeling I need to get from the rap, from the gospel rap. I need them spirituals. I need them hymns. I need them psalms.
And my adopted parents, through Ford, went to Ethiopia and brought me back. So the problem with the Ethiopian family was that they thought that this was some kind of a way of making the transitional stages between Ethiopia and America easy, and that I would contribute to the positive identification of Ethiopian Judaism and Black Judaism. But I can tell you it's a struggle. This identification isn't easy. You know what I mean? It isn't too easy. Okay, now we have the other temple, the Moorish Zionist temple. Let me explain that. That's a way of me explaining a little bit of Caribbean history. They, as most of you know, in 1492 was the...
and again, Marcus Garvey had a lot of, it was the Moors, the Muslims, the Catholics, whatever. Let's just get on the ship. The Moorish Zionist temple in Harlem by Rabbi Mordecai, is that Herman?
Expelling of the Sephardic Jews and Arabs, Muslims, from Spain. What people don't pick up on, for whatever reason, is that when this explosion took place, many of the North African Jews, those who were Sephardic or Moorish, came over to the West Indies. And recently, an ambassador for Israel's ambassador to the West Indies wrote a book on the connection of the Jewish people in the West Indies from the earliest period of the slave period. And so this Moorish Zionist temple.
And that's another link there. And people have delved into that. Your people like your Dante Forts and so forth, Garfield, dealing with Jews that came there from, North African Jews or Sephardic Jews that came down to Jamaica, not on slave ships, but might have even had slaves, might have had slaves and was down there, mixing with the Gentiles or mixing with the people of the West Indies, and end up bringing that culture, starting a synagogue there, and those people became Jews. This is how they're linking. This is what that says. Y'all look into that history. Look into what he's talking about.
Temple took their desire to return to Africa, to North Africa. That's where the Moorish connection comes in. And they were, in a sense, doing the same thing that Rabbi Matthews did, but they were doing it from a different base. That was the Moorish base. Okay.
So, it's kind of the same thing, Rabbi Matthews, but they were putting the Moorish on there, and I've even seen brothers who have that on their identifications. They are Moorish Israelite.
We have the front runners, some of the some of the very old students, I should say, of Rabbi Matthews, Rabbi Smalls. Here's a very young Rabbi Israel, 1919. And there's a very Rabbi McLeod. That's Rabbi McLeod. This is a very old picture showing those who were the students of Rabbi Matthews in the early days. This is the ceremony at Commandment Keepers. Let's see, I think it says it in English. Elder Scott, that's it. Elder Scott. Jonathan, that's right. You're right. Elder Scott, Jonathan. You have Stevens, Rabbi Matthews, Robert Steele, Rabbi Woods, Levy, Yonah.
Picture this. You're sitting at home alone watching YouTube videos,
fair use.
why
We
you can't find the
finna get ready to shut it
motivation
down,
to do
y'all.
the things.
Forerunners to
Y'all
Rabbi
can go to the brother channel and watch the whole.
Forerunners to Rabbi
whole
Finney.
conference.
This is Chicago, right? This is in Chicago. I should say this publicly. Rabbi Finney, after I told him the trouble we had with the Jewish community, he said, "Well, I'm not stopping, Rabbi. I'm going to keep battling it out." So recently, the rabbi has become a member of the Chicago Board of Rabbis. Well, I said, that's a great honor because Rabbi Matthews couldn't get that honor, and he was fighting for it for 50 years.
So they were fighting to get accepted into Judaism, to get accepted into that system. Now, some of them have gotten on the board of the rabbinical board, whatever that is. Some of them have gotten on that board and accomplished what Rabbi Matthews had been trying to do for 50 years, is what he's saying.
And he couldn't get it, so somebody got it. So he's on the board. Oh, this is the one the rabbis like to show, because when he showed it at the function at the Schomburg, he surprised me because I didn't know that he had the picture. This is one of the early bar mitzvahs that were taken at Kahal Beth B'nai Israel, 204 Lenox Avenue. And these are the minion. These are the two Thorn brothers that I was bar mitzvahed with over here. I was the smallest of everybody.
And that's him from the 40s. And they had a bar mitzvah. All right, we don't do that. I don't know many communities doing bar mitzvahs. I haven't seen a camp organization that I've come across that does bar mitzvahs. But this thing was pretty much Judaism mixed with a little Moorish, but they end up how it got the way it is now is because brother named Abba Bivens has splintered from the commandment keepers and started his own thing with which is what is one West Israelism today. And it doesn't deal with the Judaism like that. But we read a little insert there of what his train of thought was.
And Rabbi McLeod and Rabbi Israel, when I should say he passed away here in America after coming from Ethiopia in the late 80s. So Brother Peterson was another example.
But yeah, y'all, that's it. We'll come back. We just seen a little of how the movement was before Abba Bivens. We'll come back. We'll do a part 2. If not tomorrow, y'all willing on the Sabbath, we'll do a lesson, and then we'll do a quick lesson, and then we'll do a little more history. I pray this thing was edifying. Y'all be blessed. We'll see y'all on the next one. Shalom, shalom.